So welcome YouTube for another daily cast here. We will be spectating Ceeezor Toikan against Aviator Borimasson. And wave 1 has just started. We do have king ups on everybody except on Borimasson. So Toikan saving a little bit here uh, to try and put pressure. But wait, that's because that's the that's a bug. That's not a d5 value here. Well, no, that's not a bug. That's correct. It's 85 value on the board. But if you do have the treasure aunts here to generate the extra lithium. And these pack rats, oh, unlucky RNG, so that's pretty bad for him because the shorter the wave is, the better it is early game. Because a 10 lithium generated, a blue gen, yes, it was pretty close. It was pretty close. It was very fun to see it. But yeah, so the shorter the waves are, the better this is early game because when everybody is at 4 workers, to generate 10 lithium, you need the wave to last at least that's 15 seconds to have 10 lithium. So 15 seconds equal 10 lithium for a 4 worker start. But compared to a 2 worker start, you kind of need 2 times the time, right, to have this difference um, extend. So you need 30 seconds for a wave to last for the workers to generate the lithium. So if you have 20 lithium generated through to 2 pack rats here, then you need again twice that time. So you need 1 minute in the early game to have the difference between 4 workers and 2 workers to generate the same amount of lithium. So that's why the shorter the waves are, the better the pack rats are in their abilities in the early game. It starts to shift towards the late game because you don't you generate way more lithium through the workers, and also you need more of your value to be efficient rather than anything else. And that's why you see him stay at 2 workers. Everybody that's at 5 workers, so now it's not 1 minute, it's more 45 seconds to have an advantage, and that's pretty much it. So now the Sens are attempting to extend the wave or leak people. Here only income, DT Snail should wait. That should still result into a leak here from that's Borimasson. But let's see, there's still a lot of damage on the Infiltrator here. It's just that the consort in the split was pretty much nullified. But it looks like it will still result into a hold from Borimasson, but a very close one. But Aviator, whoa, Aviator leaking here. Not the perfect aggro here. Nothing on the Fire Archer, meaning because of the Bone Warrior. So that Bone Warrior seems to be a little bit of an issue here for Aviator. It will be fine later on because this will be a crusher, according to what I see. But this could have been a hold here if he only goes for the Bone Warrior a little bit further back to have shared aggro in the early wave of the Nightmare. So yes, the Nightmare would have tanked the Lizard, but still the Fire Archer would have tanked a little bit more, and the reduced aggro on the Nightmare could have bought in more time. Borimasson still pushing 7 workers, did not leak here, and he is quite strong on wave 4 with that consort, and Toikan staying at 3 workers. So now with the worker difference here, that's a 4 worker difference, and now that's where the pack rats are taking a bit less value because now, especially with that 80 recent here, oof, that 80 recent from Borimasson is quite brutal against Ceeezor, but he is well prepared with the Warg, with the Infiltrator, and the Pilgrim for bonus resistances. But you kind of need only 30 seconds now to that worker difference. But as soon as Toikan go closer to the amount of workers of Borimasson, that's 2 worker difference, the more this is impactful. Because it's all about how much the worker difference can generate compared to the opponent. But now this is a long wave here, but still we discussed there's only 2 worker difference. When there's 2 worker difference, we're talking about a difference of 1 minute to generate the same amount of lithium. Hey, thanks for the follow, Danny. And yes, Reinstein. Reinstein, yes. But here, 8 workers from that 80 resend here against Ceeezor because he knows on wave 5 he is quite strong. Um, is quite strong with the Pilgrim, does have a good tank with the Ward. It is a resend from Borimasson, and that will help Ceeezor here catch back up in value for next wave. So this is what we call a preemptive push. If you receive a resend, you're very happy. But this should not be a much of a worker push from Ceeezor because he still needs to defend himself on wave 6, one of his weakest wave, because this Pilgrim will die on wave 6 if not if there's not a correction in the split. So he can still push one if he has the correct threshold, but let's look at the bigger sense here. The imps here will result into a leak against Aviator. The Pilgrim was not enough because it did not take any aggro, and that was problematic. So probably wanted it to be a little bit closer to have at least a boss onto that Pilgrim. But a clear here from Borimasson, allowing him to push to 9 workers. Ceeezor following up with the 9 workers. And Toikan making use of those treasure hunts, but is getting saved on by Aviator. So important leak for Ceeezor and Toikan to get those bonus gold. Uh, and the Brute going against Aviator. Try to punish the long save against Toikan, but Aviator going for income here. So that will be only the Cannoneer, and Toikan, not afraid one bit here, has the Violet, feeling confident, and he will probably leak only the Cannoneer here. Because yes, the Violet's pretty strong, but it needs time. And what does he have to buy time? Not a lot of stuff. A arcing defense, fortified defense, not the best. But let's see. The 100 Sen, and that's paired with a King Up, so not even trying to leak him. Because he tries to deny those treasure hunts, but those treasure hunts keep coming. But now this will result into Toikan pushing workers. He only needs 1 stack on the Nekomata to be decent next wave, plus another Tempest, and that's only 120 gold, so he can push the rest without any problems, and still treasure hunt. Looking at the sense against Aviator here, good aggro from him. Will the Fire Archer survive? It looks like he will be surviving, but this Roko just arriving too soon and will result into him leaking. But only 1 Roko, but is saving onto Toikan, does not have the required effect of leaking him. And so Aviator falling a little bit behind here, but with that recent pushing to 10 workers, feeling confident on the ability of the Nightmare to clear wave 7. So he is only 50 under. Okay, so, well, he is not doing too bad, but Toikan here, only 1 worker behind Borimasson. And that, paired with those treasure hunts, if the wave is super fast, then you have a good combo. But the Brute recent from Ceeezor, so Ceeezor not letting out the pressure onto Aviator here. So quite intriguing. So he did sell the Fire Archer to get another Nightmare, so that resulted into him losing a bit of value, but 2 Nightmares is way more effective than Fire Archer plus small stuff. So good decision from Aviator, able to push to 12 workers quite easily off that 80 cent. The 160 against Borimasson does seem to be very effective, but we see here the new unit, Holy Avenger, almost at full mana, now has the AoE going on with the loud sound, but will be able to clear, just barely not, but still very small leak, only Ceeezor leaking quite heavily to the mole here. Did not see the mole coming in, but with no arcing defense, the leak was to be expected here. So 12 workers from Aviator and Borimasson, only small leaks, resulting to king damage. Is this a cover from Toikan? But remember, a long wave does not favor treasure hunting, does favor the workers. And we can see here that yes, Toikan is behind now, but will receive 20 more. But look at this. The waves were long enough for Borimasson to receive more Mythium than those treasure hunt. So not as impactful as it should be. Any advertisement is very good, Pyro. It's more of when you stream a game, it's more about the personality. So them sticking with a better personality is still very fine. They don't. Not all the people want to have all the information on how to play and things like that. And it can be somewhat boring for some people. So I'm perfectly fine with them watching some entertaining entertaining gameplay more than informative gameplay if they so wish to get into the game. But here the income sense. Glad to hear it, Danny. Thank you. But income sense quite heavy on the income this game. But the recent here from Toikan and Ceeezor does leak Aviator and Borimasson quite heavily here. But Ceeezor is leaking as well. Only Toikan is leaking as well. So true Fiesta here, but very small leak to the king from Toikan and Ceeezor. But who does that leak favor? Well, we could say Aviator and Bori does favor from it a little bit more in terms of worker. But in terms of gold gain, uh, yeah, it's one thing to explain and another thing to apply, right? I know how it is. I'm much better at explaining stuff because I don't listen to what I explain either. So, uh, because I explain stuff so that new players don't do what I do. So it's kind of weird because what I do is quite unique and it's not really fun for new players to do it that way, right? But let's see, that was a heavy push from Toikan here, going to 17 workers of the league. So we discussed how who does that league favors the most, and we have to say that after that heavy push, Toikan is highly favored. And the imps send on wave 9 here. It's no longer imps on 5, it is imps on 9, but good defense from Aviator here. And also the snipes on the imps does mean that he will be able to hold. But what about Borimasson here? Borimasson is only leaving the fire elemental as defense, does have the brute and 2 carapace remaining against the fire elemental. The fire elemental does deal a lot of damage, but this is not enough to clear those 3 units. So still again a leak on Borimasson. But now Aviator and Borimasson have the pressure. In terms of Mythium, both staying at around 240 Mythium right now, and they do go for the 10 cent. Wave 10 is quite problematic for both Ceeezor and Toikan, so we will see some income and possibly king ups here. Do have the Leviathan, but without proper frontline from Toikan, this could be pretty grim because the pack leader will absorb some of the damage of the Leviathans. And that is why Leviathan is not really a good counter to Wave 10 because you only send Dino and then it reduces half of the DPS of it. But let's see how they deal with it because now this is a 4-eye going on to Ceeezor. I think this send is not really that powerful against what we see from Ceeezor because he will be able to put down the boss. And so the goal from that send from Borimasson is to try and get only the 4-eye to the king and get this boss very high HP to the king. But it looks like it will still be very high HP from Ceeezor to the king. And now you see a lot of HP on those Granddaddies. And the king will always focus those bosses before the 4-eye. And so that's why 4-eye on Wave 10 is quite impactful if you have a good tank in front in those bosses. So that's why boss HP is quite important. And this will result into a game here. Because the ramp up damage is just too high for the boss to handle, the king to handle, and this is game on wave 10. So despite the leaks from Aviator and Borimasson, they were able to put the pressure back at them with a long save to wave 10, recognizing the weakness shown by Toikan and Ceeezor on that specific wave. So that was a fast one. So yeah, so on Aido you can either have very long games where people are doing all income sense, but some people could say that this was maybe an overpush from Toikan, knowing that he was pretty weak on wave 10. But look at this, only one wave skip, and they are able to get 320s, 280s. So that's the danger. And if you go for a recent here on wave 9, you need to be aware of your weakness, right? So yes, you are pretty strong on wave 9, but the enemy sees that as well. So you kind of want to either match them on wave 10 to reduce the time there is on wave 9, or push a bit less and still go for that to try and get bonus gold, as you did there. You can go income king up on wave 10 without any issues. Um, that's totally fine because you know that this is your weak wave and then you have a strong few next waves in the mid game. So I do think that was a little bit of a mistake here from Ceeezor and Toikan. You can hit Aviator and Borimasson on wave 13, you just need to start at wave 10. So recognizing you're strong here, not sending to have a shorter wave 9 to have reduced send size on wave 10 and go income king ups here against Aviator and Borimasson would could have allowed them to do pretty well. So on that, thank you for watching YouTube and see you next time.